The boom in e-commerce during the pandemic has been good for business at XPO Logistics. Earnings at the company beat on both the top and bottom line. They also raised their forward guidance, and shares of XPO have actually more than doubled over the past year alone. The company is also going to spin off its highly profitable logistics business into a separate company called GXO Logistics. Joining us now is Malcolm Wilson. He is the CEO of XPO Logistics Europe. He's also been named CEO of the new GXO entity. Malcolm, thanks so much for being with us. I want to start off with those earnings because they were pretty good. You posted record first quarter revenue of $1.8 billion. What helped to get you there?
We solidly beat all of our expectations across our transport business and our logistics business. And that's really coming on the back of strong consumer demand, a rebounding of the industrial economy, and the investments that we've been making in the past years on technology across our transportation business and in our logistics business.
Now, Malcolm, as you're just highlighting, throughout the pandemic, we saw huge consumer demand, everyone shopping online, pulling forward a lot of growth for a lot of companies throughout this pandemic. Wondering what you see going forward in terms of that consumer demand as we shift to a post-pandemic world.
We're seeing very, very strong consumer demand. In the last quarter, in fact, year to date, we've signed already renewals and new business opportunities with our customers totaling over $4 billion. What we're seeing is mega trends in our industry space. Outsourcing is a big demand. More and more large companies are outsourcing as a consequence, in part, of the pandemic. They're de-risking their supply chains, having realized just the critical nature that logistics plays in supply chain. Also, e-commerce, it's a boom. We're all ordering more and more items online. We all want things the next day, even the same day, and that's putting huge pressures into the speed of warehousing. And that's where the expertise that XPO has in terms of industrial automation and robotics that we're placing into our warehouse is really coming into its own.
Speaking of outsourcing, Malcolm, I know that Apple has just hired XPO to help run a new $100 million logistics facility in Indiana. Can you tell us a little bit more about that partnership and what might that actually mean in terms of a material effect on XPO's bottom line?
We're so excited to have made this agreement with Apple. We're honored to have made this agreement indeed. We're going to operate over 1 million square feet of high-tech warehousing space with Apple in Indiana. We're going to embody all the latest technology into that warehouse, industrial-sized automation and robotics that will even personalize products before we dispatch them to the consumer. It's a really great operation, and we're looking forward to working with Apple closely in this.
Now, Malcolm, you guys have invested a lot in technology, essentially for the future, to create these warehouses for the future. And we were recently talking to Boston Dynamics CEO, which of course makes a lot of robots that can be used in those warehouses. How do you mitigate some of the risks, at least to labor forces going ahead?
So we're seeing really huge demand for people in our warehouse. We're continually hiring team members into our warehouse. But what we do see is, in every one of us jobs that we do, there's always something that can be a bit mundane or something that we don't particularly like. That's where robotics is coming in. It's really taking up some of those activities that humans don't necessarily ideally want to do. And so we see both hand in hand, robotics and our team members. And in fact, our team members are so excited in working with robotics. We have different types of robots working in our warehouse, goods to person, machines that bring product to people. We also have collaborative robots. Those are machines that work right alongside our team members. And I can tell you that they get very attached to those machines, giving them names. They really like to work with this technology. So it's been a big boost for us. Robotics, automation in general, is bringing more accuracy, more speed, which is important in e-commerce, more quality of service, and more safety. It's really a win-win for every way.
And Malcolm, we have to ask about the spinoff of GXO Logistics, which I know you're going to be the CEO of. You've got some big name clients there taking care of logistics for companies like Nike and Coca-Cola. When do you expect that spinoff to happen? And can you provide any kind of guidance for us with that new entity?
Absolutely. 30% of the top 100 companies are customers of GXO, will be of GXO. And if we look at our top 20 customers, we have very long tenure of customers. So we're on track to make the spin in the second half of the year. We're busy right now building out the C-suite of management and getting the business ready for that spin. And we've made some superb hires. Our new CFO will be joining us soon, Barış Orhan. He's coming from the Sabancı Group in Turkey. He's had years of senior level CFO experience working for one of the largest publicly traded companies in Turkey. And our Chief Investment Officer, Mark Manduka, is joining us. He's been a top-ranked transport analyst for 8 years on a row in Europe. So we're really stoked up about the team that we're forming to drive this high-growth company forward for the future.
All right. Malcolm Wilson, best of luck with the spinoff. Thanks so much for being with us of XPO Logistics in Europe.